I do have a question though.
Yeah.
Gentleman down the street, we're gonna start a club up and wood turning club. What's everybody's annual dues? How's that all work? I know
Well,
everybody's
they,
probably
they
different.
range from $25 a year to $60 a year.
Okay.
I think my club is currently at 40. We have meetings every month. We have at least one workshop every month. The club brought in a turner from Canada this month, a guy by the name of Jim Williams, who turned a hat live, a cowboy hat out of wet box elder, i.e. soft maple. So there's a lot of extra stuff. The club has 7 lathes for workshops, and that's all. And as a mentor program and that kind of stuff. So I hope that gives you a good ballpark.
Yep.
I mean, start low. You can always raise it.
Matt,
Yeah.
does your club own that building then, or do they pay rent for that building that they keep all their lathes in, or?
We are paying rent. The last place we were in, we did not pay rent. But we lost that spot because there was some games being played by the owner of the building, and the owner of the building passed away, and his kids wanted to sell the building, and we were it was basically a tool store. We were in their warehouse, and so he had to move, and we lost the space. But now we're paying rent. We're in a school for challenged kids. And they have a bakery. It's a pretty neat operation, and they have a wood shop there. So one of the caveats that our club is doing is we're training their instructors on wood turning so that their instructors can teach the kids. So,
That's a good program.
They already had a wood shop there. And it's a real neat place. They've got a bakery that supplies like 80 some restaurants in the Detroit area with baked goods every week. So it's a pretty neat place. So a lot of opportunity, and the space is big, and the owners are like a retired couple who own the building. So it's an old school that they bought. So it's and one of the other clubs in our area has had some difficulty finding a spot. So, almost no clubs I know actually own the spot they're in. You're renting it, or you're in a, in a woodcraft or something like that. So it's Eddie, where does your club meet?
The club I used to belong to by wood turns, I think they're meeting in a meeting spot for the hospital I get my care from in the Ochsner system. It's and they're everywhere right now. The largest employer in the state, but they have educational facilities set up on their campuses where they can go in. They can host workshops too. I just went to one the other day about glucose monitoring and all that. And the hospital's got one of those projects over in Hammond, and I believe that's where they're going back to again. That was off limits during the pandemic. Before that, when I was president of the club, I had a meeting at a senior center, and that worked out really well for us. I had found 4 or 5 different centers that we could use to move them from one side of the lake to the other side of the lake or whatever. And but the parishes that operate those, they got to looking for the almighty buck, and it was harder to go there than find someplace else. But if you can line up with a church or a school or a senior center or a place where they're
or a community center. Community centers and senior centers are great, and churches and schools are also great. Yeah, I agree.
The program to have a group of people. I went to a club meeting one time and had to be up in Washington, D.C. area. I was teaching up there, and I went to the school, and when the club used the facility in the back, one of the members had to bring on a porta potty. Is in the construction business. Had to bring out a porta potty so that they'd have a place to go to the bathroom because the school didn't want to open the rest of the campus up to outlaw wood turners, you know. It was- but when people ask me where do you go meet, where do you find a meeting place, where do you go meet? Where do you go for a quick class or an education opportunity or a low expense sales pitch or whatever? Look at all those places and you'll find that they're all in your community, and all it takes is the step up to go in and tell them what you do and how you do it. And if you have a worthwhile cause, put that on the front of the table. If you're turning bold beads for courage or weak stands or freedom pens or whatever, that's a selling ploy if you're looking to get in. They need to know you're just not a bunch of gang of old guys getting together with not sharp tools. You know, that you want more than that out of it. All right.
Yeah, and it depends on how many people you're working with. You know, a lot of clubs start off with, they're just meeting in somebody's shop. Somebody's got a big shop, you know, a little bit of room for 5 or 6 people to comfortably sit. And that's a good option to start off with. One of the clubs I went to when I was living in Tennessee for a couple months was the one that John Lucas is part of. And they meet in a school that has a wood shop program. It's got a full wood shop, and that was a great meeting space too. So, you know, if you've got a school nearby that's got a wood shop program or a woodworking program, those people would be real amenable to bringing turners in. And you might get the space for free if you're teaching classes there or something, or offering classes for the kids. So, you know, there's a lot of options. So, you know, the important thing is to start getting, you know, just start meeting and go from there. Figure out how many people you've got, figure out what kind of space you need, and start looking.
If I can interject, if you become a 501c3, a tax deductible organization, a charitable organization, people are a lot more amenable to helping you with donations and places to meet. For example, if you are not a charitable organization and you went to meet in a church, you would be violating the church's 501 tax exempt status. But if you're tax exempt, they could rent you the place or even let you go there for free. So sometimes places don't pay much attention to that, but it's real easy to become tax exempt. I've done it for, like, I'm working on my 3rd club now doing that. And it's pretty straightforward. You just write your bylaws with all the IRS requirements in it, and you send it off the IRS. Last time it only took us 3 weeks to get approved. So.
And I think there's probably examples of that documentation and bylaws and stuff on the AAW site too, if I'm not wrong, if I remember correctly.
And
yeah,
They do, but if you do that, have somebody that can read instructions go over it, because they have highlight parts. They will actually give you the document that you just sit in and input. Name of the club, Bob's Wood Turning Club. Purpose, etc. They get a little blank spots for you to do that. You have to take those blank spots out and put in your information, or your request gets rejected. After 2 or 3 rejections, they don't want to hear from you again for a period of time. So, you know, if you don't want to get a lawyer involved, at least have 2 or 3 sets of eyes look at it. I did it for a group last year. It took me about an hour, and I downloaded all the information off of the national organization's website and put it all together. And I sent it over to my CPA, who's a wood turner. And he looked at it and he said, "Oh, this will work in a click. You want me to file it?" And whatever position he had someplace with the church, we didn't have to pay for the filing. It all went right through, and it was done.
yeah, and if you need a copy of somebody's bylaws or something, send me a message with your contact information, and I'll send you a couple of examples of the clubs I work with and you can just cut and paste and plagiarize. It'll get your bylaws written perfectly, and you should be able to slide right on through. And file electronically, don't mail it in when you file with the IRS.
Yeah.
Yep.
Snail mail gets lost, unfortunately.
Don't
Sometimes.
say that too loud. I got about 100 packages of stickers out in the mail right now.
I know.
Yeah, on this same topic, I had a discussion with my club had Jim Williams come in from Canada this weekend, and so we invited a lot of folks from all the clubs within, say, 2 hours drive of where we are here in Detroit to come and attend. And a lot of the club presidents and some of the club officers from all over the state came, which is really pretty cool. One of those guys was Ron Campbell, and he and the guy who came with him were talking about how the Grand River Club desperately needs a new place to meet. And they've got too many people on the committee and everybody talks too much about it, but nobody's actually out looking for a place to meet. So focus on less talk and more action. Have people just start looking. The way we did it is we're like, all right, we're up against the wall. Everybody go to your local places and see if they'll take us,
And then once
But
you
yeah.
get, my throw a nickel on the table on that is, once you get formed, invite non-members to your club. And it might seem like a dumb statement, but make it more of a social atmosphere to show people that you're trustworthy and you're honest, you're above board. What Robert said just now about the bylaws, the bylaws have to be clean and sweet, and they have to be there to protect the members and the membership and the club and hold. Not any way around. There's no wavy line in this. It's got to be dead straight, black and white. And if people come to realize that your organization's upright, straight, there's no hidden agenda, they will help you find places to go. They will bring you places, because people in this world, people like to talk to nice people. We don't find enough of it. So I'm finally able to come back and do some social gatherings. It's not like we used to do. I mean, I've never been a social butterfly, but now in my treatment, I have to log or document experiences that I have, and I've found some new venues, and all of them I like, and I'm being particular about mixing with, is there can't be an agenda one way or the other. There can't be an agenda. It's going to be totally social. So if you bring people into a club meeting and you make it a total social thing, have a bottle of water, we're going to turn a little work, we're going to show off the things we did, et cetera, et cetera. We're all going to get together as friends, and you're one of my friends. Come on, join in. And that's the thing we started 3 years ago here, is we're all sitting on a tailgate out in the parking lot, lying, talking wood and all this stuff. We don't have any rules. And I wish you well on your dues. Consider, what money do you need before you ask for it? You know, and if you don't have a machine, a lathe, or you need projection equipment and all that, some manufacturers will work with you on getting a deal. You'll find those deals in social atmospheres. You'll find people who have cameras and recording equipment and all that. If you want to W stuff up, if you want to put your meetings on Zoom, boy, do I endorse that, man. If we happened upon this, but if the clubs all join in,
The biggest expense.
don't belittle it. It doesn't take a lot to put a club meeting on Zoom. It doesn't. If you just need one tech guy, and he doesn't have to be a genius, a brainiac. One tech guy. If you're doing videos or camera work or whatever, if you got one camera and one microphone And I started in 1999 with one camera and one microphone, and the camera was a security camera, fixed image security cameras, and the microphone was a lapel pin that I tied to the camera to put it up there so we could record the meetings. And after we got into that, and it became, if a guy missed a meeting, we'd send him a videotape. That opened the door to our members who couldn't travel anymore. I mean, I'm restricted on travel. So if I had to burden my wife to get me someplace the same time every month, the same place, and not interfere with anything else, yeah, it'd be great if I could just go to the computer and and join the meeting. I could be a member. I could pay my dues if you wanted to go that way. But that what you're putting out is the value right there. And just take a few minutes, look at it. I tell you what, if your club is getting into it and you're looking for something for a video camera, email me. I may be able to take care of you on that.
Also,
I got
And that's
some-
why,
I got
that's
some-
open. That's anybody. That's open to
I got
anybody.
some extra webcams I'm not using, and I'm happy to help anybody get online if that's what they want to do.
Yeah,
And-
when we changed the cameras and all a couple of years ago systems, I donated all the cameras we had to a club in Arkansas. And then I found out a couple of years later, they got recycled and donated to a club in South Carolina because he left my card on it. So the guy called me, hey, how do you charge this thing? So
For
we're all out here to help.
one of the
If-
first expenses you're gonna have is gonna be pretty, my local club is, one of them is the biggest expense is the liability insurance. Through the AEW, it's $500 a year. Now, if you meet in a public building, you can get by for $200 a year, but if you meet in individual houses, it's more like $500 a year. And,
that's not the AAW insurance. It doesn't cover private.
right,
AEW
so
group plan
they
doesn't
refer
cover
you
private.
to, yeah, they refer you to the Hartford, and the Hartford is
Right.
$500 a year.
Yeah, that's a
and
private
threatening to
plan.
go up.
And that varies in price. Ours is $304 a year through the Hartford.
Well, you don't live in California.
No, we live in
What can I
Pennsylvania.
say?
And it does.
Everything's more expensive in California.
But
We're
that
paying
illustrates it
$6
does.
a gallon for gas right now.
Yeah, it does
Anyway.
vary where you are. So, just
Yeah,
to point that
And
out.
that, and if you want a website and you're not a programmer or whatever, things like GoDaddy and whatnot, you're looking at a couple $100 a year for that. So
Mhm.
along with coffee and donuts, that's your biggest expenses. So like my small club here in Antelope Valley, we have about 25 members. And about 10 years ago, they passed an amendment to the bylaws that anyone over 80 didn't have to pay dues. Well, now half the club doesn't have to pay dues anymore. So we have to worry about.
So basically, you loaded that revolver up, pointed at your foot, and pulled the
That's
trigger.
right, we're all geezers. Anyway, I've got 10 more years to pay dues, like apparently. But so you're going to have some.
We bumped
revenue
into one at
stream
the
coming in somehow.
senior center where the lady managing
Thank you.
the lady managing the center said, what makes you folks seniors? So in the next meeting, we did a survey. More than 80% of our members were over 65. And we had 2 or 3 over 90.
All right.
And I
Well,
brought the
thank-
information to her and said, does this make it? And she says, oh, I had no idea you old folks did that.
Thank you for all the information. I appreciate it.
Hey,
All right. Good luck to you.
Hey, so
Ed, don't know if
So
you
with
guys
that
are
said-
aware.